It's time for Where You Live with Gene and Tony, the show that's all about owning, buying, selling, renting, and association management. If it involves a home, we'll talk about it. Here's your chance to get your homeowner questions answered. From the Concierge Landscape Studios, here's Gene and Tony.
Needed the shelter of someone's arms, and there you were. Needed someone to understand my ups and downs.
Good morning and welcome to Where You Live with Gene and Tony. I'm Gene Sullivan, sans Tony for the next couple of weeks, who has that time off. It's great to have you being a part of our show today. We are broadcasting from the Concierge Landscape Studios. We're brought to you by Extreme Exteriors and American Family Insurance, the Kim Bennett Agency. We've got a lot of great stories that we're following on today's show. We're going to begin with one story that deals with the interpretation of words. A lot of people have usually thought that the word volunteer means to go unpaid. But apparently with some associations in Florida, that's not the case, and we're going to deal with that in just a little bit. We'll turn our attention a little bit later in the show to what's going on with the tragedy with Pt.1 Martin and the Homeowners Association, where all of that took place. Apparently, Pt.1's mother is now seeking compensation from the insurance company from the Homeowners Association. We're going to be dealing with that. And later on in the show as well, there is one Homeowners Association. They are so large, and they are quite large, let me tell you. They're asking for a special dispensation from their state legislature so that they can be dealt with differently than any other homeowner association. What do you think about that? Does size matter? Well, you're going to be weighing in on that and letting us know what you think. But let's, without further ado, go into property management in the news. Property management in the news is brought to you by Pest Control Services. When you need to get rid of unwanted pests in your home or rental property, call someone who's responsive, professional, and a proud member of Angie's List. Give owner Greg Keener a call at 952-894-9748. Pest Control Services. Well, our first story comes from the Florida Sun Sentinel, and it begins with what I think is an interesting headline. It's entitled, Living with Rules. Volunteering means you don't get paid. Now, just take that sentence again. Volunteering means you don't get paid. You would think that that would be pretty self-evident, wouldn't you? I mean, if you're going to volunteer, it's the very nature of what that word means. If you're going to volunteer, you're giving up of your time. But apparently, there are people in Florida who want to let you know that that's not necessarily what it means. I always find it interesting that you have people that want to spin and change the meaning of words. It seems like we live in an age, don't we, of spin doctors, especially in politics. Didn't we have someone who wanted to debate what the word is a number of years ago? Well, when you're dealing with how you define the word, I think you got to remember you're dealing generally with two types of people. You've got the intentional and unintentional. Now, the intentional people are the people that I think are probably a little bit more deceitful. They have something very specific in their mind, and they're trying to hide something. But a lot of what goes on with misunderstanding and communication that we deal with in our lives comes from unintentional communication, unintentional understanding of the meaning of words. We've talked about that on the show quite a bit. Let me give you a couple examples, folks. It's very important to know and understand so that you have clarity and understanding among one another what certain words mean. How about in the area of property management? How about the word expensive? What does expensive mean? Property manager comes to you, you're on the board of directors, and you say, he says, well, we're going to need some work done on those steps at that building, and it's going to be expensive. Well, what is expensive? We took at New Concepts a survey among our employees, and we asked them to define what is expensive in terms of a car. We asked them the word old. How old is a person? When are they considered old? What does ASAP, as soon as possible, mean? And it's interesting. We got different definitions, even though you thought everybody understood the word. Someone thought an expensive automobile. Some thought it was anything over $5,000. Others thought an expensive automobile was anything over $90,000. So you've got a lot of unintentional communication that where we think we understand one another, but we don't. But in the area of volunteering and with the nature of this story, we're not talking about the unintentional. We're talking about some very intentional things that were taking place that shouldn't have been taking place with these board members. Let me go on with the story, and you decide here as well. Appears in Florida for some reason. There are a lot of people who are running for office who want to get, of course, their constituents behind them on a bill, on their reelection, on a particular issue. And so they want to go to people of influence. What's happening in an interesting phenomena down in Florida is that a number of candidates and different organizations that are lobbying for certain efforts are going to board members in homeowner associations and paying them to help represent them on their issue or to back their candidate. What do you think of that? I think it's kind of funny that there are candidates and organizations that want to pay board members thinking that they're kind of influential. If anything, I found over the years, most people that are on boards aren't the influential ones. In fact, it seems like a lot of people in a homeowner association are suspect of those that are on the board. And they don't have a lot of credibility and credence sometimes. That's unfortunate. I understand why. Anytime someone's in a position of authority, you want to be able to question and not necessarily take what they say at face value, and you want to make sure that things are so. But in this particular case, a lot of candidates are doing that. They're turning to board members in homeowner associations and saying, look, we want to pay you to help us get out the vote behind our candidate, behind our issue. The problem comes in that these board members are not mentioning that to anybody in the association. And that's where the rub is. You've got a board member who's coming out very strongly for one particular issue or for a candidate, asking people to be behind them, but they're not telling them that this is same as what would be considered a paid infomercial. What do you think about that? Is there a conflict of interest? Are there some issues and problems with this? I think there is. I think that there's a lot here that we've got to take a look at. Number one, if you are on the board of directors and you are being compensated for anything that you're doing that's in connection with your position of being on the board, you must disclose and let that known to the others on the board, and you must disclose that there is a possibility for financial gain to others that are in the association. If you don't, one of the things that people are finding is that they may be taking that protection that their association has of being a nonprofit organization away if you knowingly violate some of these statutes. And one is that a board member is not to be paid. It is to be a volunteer position. What do you think about this? Do you think that this is happening in Minnesota, or is this something that's just happening in Florida? I'd like to explore it a little bit more, but it looks like we need to take a break right now, so let's do that. You're listening to Where You Live on AM 1280 The Patriot. We'll be back after these messages.